Welcome back to the Weekly Manga Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about all of your favorite ongoing Japanese manga. This week, we're going to take a look at Cockgate from Chainsaw Man and why a character losing their penis can be a good character moment. We're also going to hit two of the best flashbacks in manga, maybe ever. We're going to talk Dan to Dan Chapter 153 and Spy Family Chapter 98. All that manga news and more coming right up. Hello again, my name is Bruce. I am the proprietor of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and this week I'm joined again by my constant co-host, Gautam.
Hello, hello.
All right, we mentioned at the start, this is Cockgate. Denji potentially losing his penis. Let's talk about it.
It's a good thing that we are not monetized whatsoever because we said cock like 5 times.
Yeah.
But hey, the rules don't apply to us. We make no money from this.
Yeah, I might end up beeping it out. So I think
no, fuck it, dude. Let's take this opportunity to fuss and cuss all you want, since the rules don't apply to us.
I think it's like if you can get the first 2 minutes without cursing, YouTube doesn't care, or something like that. I don't know. I've heard that from bigger creators, but I don't know. But yeah, this is Chainsaw Man Chapter 166 called Rain Brothel Removal, which I hadn't read the title of the chapter until now, which is a funny thing. The group of ragtag people, including Denji, Asa, Katana Man, they are escaping. Denji is concerned about finding Nayuta and some other stuff. But Katana Man offers Denji, he's like, hey, I own a brothel. Let's go get your rocks off. And it's so...
Of course he owns a brothel. Yeah, why wouldn't he?
I mean, it's just... I don't know. It's just one of these funny, Fujimoto does this, right? He doesn't make... people, myself included, compare Fujimoto often to, he writes his manga very sort of movie inspired, very much like a movie or like a camera, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he's very much into the sort of schlock and stuff of like a B movie, of like B horror, where it's gory and there's a little bit of, sexiness or nudity or whatever you want to say. And that's what this chapter is, I guess, is what I'm getting at. Is that this is kind of like, it's I don't want to say trashy, but it's
not, because let us not forget Denji's initial goal of touching boobs. I'd say like this is like small potatoes compared to that one time Denji got his mouth puked in.
Yes. It's good, but
it is very clear how fucking disgusted Asa is by this whole situation.
This panel at the bottom is so funny, and it's like, this is good. This is like a visual joke, which again, Fujimoto, great visual storyteller. It's like, that's the last thing on Denji's mind right now, right? And then it's just like looking, it's like, maybe that's not.
It's even the next page, that middle panel on the left is where she's like, what the fuck
Excuse
are you
me?
talking about?
And he's like, this is, we sort of laugh and joke about, oh, haha, Denji, horn dog, horny guy all the time. But the truth of the matter is that there's more to it, and there's like a lot more to it in here, right? This is, it's played a little bit as a joke, but like in reality, this sort of Denji sort of chasing sexual affirmation, chasing like sexual things, like, again, the start of part 1, he wants to touch a boob. He almost sleeps with what's her name from the bar. His kind of pursuit of Makima, his touching of Power's boobs. All this stuff it's not actually about Denji just being horny, right? Like it is this sort of deep-seated character thing of the abuse he went to, the sort of abuse he went through, and his need and longing for affirmation and belonging, which is something that this second part has been getting like much deeper into, especially with both Asa and Denji, because they both kind of crave this They both crave this acceptance, this affirmation, this inclusion that they haven't had in their lives previously. And the Denji is dumb in the sense that the only way that he thinks he knows how to get that is through this sort of physical, sexual affirmation.
May I say emotional horniness?
Yes, emotional. Yeah, it is essentially inner emotional horniness represented on the page as outer emotional horniness. So, and Denji is confused this whole chapter, right? And he isn't, and he's trying to kind of justify, like, why do I feel like I need to affirm, like, how do I say this? He knows that he needs to affirm himself before he is, I guess, like, healthy or strong enough to go and maybe help somebody else, right? To go save Nayuta. And because he doesn't understand that, he thinks, like, yeah, maybe I do need to go to a brothel and get my rocks off. Like, maybe that's what I need because I feel weak and defeated. I was captured. He was ripped apart and rebuilt. Nobody likes him anymore, or he's not getting the kind of positive affirmation he was getting even at the start of part 2, right? Or at the end of part 1. And so he's again, he's just like, he's dumb and confused and he doesn't understand this, like, that what he's really looking for is, I need someone to love me. Like literally it's as simple as Denji needs someone to love him because he has, like, almost never had other people love him. And when he has just lost them.
Yeah. He has lost his whole family in part 1. And it's proven in part 2 where you see he has, like, just immense self-worth issues.
Yes.
He lets people use him as a chair for, like, 10 cents. He picks up cigarettes and resells them, like, used cigarette butts, rolls them back up and resells them.
He, like, licks stuff off the floor or something. Like, yeah, like his...
And he promises himself into a pact by, like, when someone buys him a cake, right? Like, he's willing to do anything for anything at the moment because he feels like he's not alive, I think.
Yeah.
Like, well, he's going through the world like a husk.
Yeah, and I think that this is... I mean, I think Denji... I don't want to necessarily relate this directly to the author, to Fujimoto, but I do think that I do think we are seeing the author struggle on the page here. And what I mean by that is similar to something like Evangelion, where, like, the story of Evangelion is like, okay, it's about, what is that guy's name? Shinji and Denji. It's about Shinji and he's in a robot and he's fighting out stuff, but what really is it's the journey of Shinji and the author's, like, depression and how they sort of deal with that and, you know, abandoning responsibilities during depression and stuff like that. That all happens in Eva. And here, I think what I'm seeing reading this chapter is that Fujimoto, I think, probably also looks for the same kind of affirmation that Denji's looking for, right? Like, he wants to be praised by the outside world. Like, he wants to be a popular mangaka. Like, obviously, everybody wants that, right? I think everybody who produces art wants their art to be seen and appreciated and loved by a lot of people. And I think that he got that. And I think that part 2, I don't necessarily think that part 2 is, like, doing poorly or selling poorly. I think it's still doing fine. But it is not sort of the same high that it used to be. And the part 1 of the anime maybe was received, I don't want to say poorly, but a little bit, you know, it wasn't the smash hit of that season, right? It wasn't as big as Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon Slayer or any of those things.
I don't know if it's about that. I
will just say that I wonder if this is about, I wonder if Fujimoto is struggling through his own sort of, how do I grow out of needing this affirmation from the outside world by expressing Denji struggling through that also, right? Like, it feels, I guess it doesn't necessarily feel like this is what Fujimoto is feeling right now, but I wonder if he's already struggled through that and so he's putting it on the page, or if he's currently, I don't know. It feels personal.
He's probably struggled through that.
Yeah, I think that's more likely, but yeah.
I feel like you can't hit these emotional beats as well as he is if you haven't been through it. But
yeah, I guess that's where you got where I was going, which is that, like, this feels like an emotion that the author has felt before in some way. And I think that maybe it's from the production of Chainsaw Man, maybe it's from something else. Maybe it's also just him finding somebody to love or date him or whatever, right? Like, could literally be something as simple as that.
The only reason I don't think it's related to anything meta Chainsaw Man related is because even at the start of part 2, you could see this in Denji, where he only wants to be Chainsaw Man for the popularity of it, and he doesn't want to be Denji. He wants to be Chainsaw Man because he doesn't like himself. And his normal self, everyone treats like, a walking asshole. He's just a creep that everyone disregards or makes fun of or, like shits on.
Yeah.
But Chainsaw Man is this hugely popular figure that is widely beloved, so he always wants to be in that mode.
Yeah.
His motivations make sense.
They do, and you're right. It's very consistent from the start. I guess I was just more saying.
No,
it feels like something the author understands in a way that is probably personal rather than just they're writing about it, right? Like so.
I think Fujimoto he comes off just from the writing. I don't know anything about him. He's an anomaly, but he comes off as someone who's in touch with his emotions. And I think it shows
a
on the
weirdo,
page.
but in touch with his emotions, I guess.
Yeah.
Or he understands characters enough to write them well. But yeah, I mean, everything we're saying, it's laid out kind of right here on this page, right? Denji says, like, why can't I keep my priorities straight? Like, he knows that the most important thing to him should be saving his family. It shouldn't be, his internal stuff. He's like, my pets died, Nayuta's missing, and I'm trying to go to a brothel. He's like, and he like literally
meltdown here.
And he literally lays out exactly what we're saying here in the bottom panel. He says, I want to be Chainsaw Man for the praise and acknowledgement, like question mark. Like he's saying, is that really what I want? He's like, what a load of crap. That's so stupid. That shouldn't be, he's again, it's like it's interesting because it's very hard to write, I think, in my opinion. It's hard to write a character who kind of sees their faults, but is still confused by them in a way. And so, yeah, like a normal person might be like, I just want to, I want to be Chainsaw Man for the praise and acknowledgement. What a load of crap. I should accept that there are people around me who love me and protect me. I should try to be loved as a person. But Denji doesn't get it. So he immediately says, like, it's all my dick's fault. I can't fight it. It ruins everything around me. Again, this gets back to all the stuff from part one of him sort of ascribing this need for, I mean, I just like, as simple as he put it, like, he just needs to be loved. He doesn't need to have sex, right? Like, that's kind of the dichotomy.
Yeah. Well, he hasn't gotten there. He doesn't, like, us as an audience member and as someone who's lived in the world gets it. But Denji is like,
he's emotionally stunted from past trauma, like from his childhood and from all of part one and part two, right? Like he's traumatized. So,
and on top of that, he's an idiot. So,
I mean, he grew up no schooling, he grew up no friends, he grew up with like nothing and nobody, and it very much shows.
Yeah, so I think it's a sad meltdown, but also a hilarious meltdown.
Yeah, because like, you think like
both.
Yeah, it's so funny because he's like, oh wow, he's like on this past page, he's like literally laying out all of these like. These are my character flaws. Like, I think, I only want to be Chainsaw Man for the praise and acknowledgement. That's not the reason I should be Chainsaw Man. There has to be something else. And then you think, oh, he's done it. He's getting character growth. And he's like, wait, no, it's all my dick's fault. That's like, wait, you're ascribing it to the wrong. That's not what this is about. And that's
you were so close, Denji.
Yeah, he was so close.
Okay, now let's get to Cockgate, because me and Bruce, we talked about it right after this chapter dropped. And we, like... I don't know where this is gonna go. He doesn't know where this is gonna go. I initially said that next chapter, Asa and Denji will come to some emotional growth moment addressing Denji's self-worth issues in some way. And Bruce said he's gonna get his cock chopped.
I was like, I think. Well,
and I was like, oh shit.
This is okay.
That's a 50-50.
Yeah, this is the thing. The last page of the chapter, and this is Yoru, right? This is technically the War Devil saying this. Because we see the scars on Asa's face. So it's like, she says like, oh, your penis is the problem? It's like, all right, I'll cut it off for you then. Come with me. And Denji has like an excellent expressive face in this last page.
Yeah. So the question is, will we get character development or will he get his dick cut off?
Or both. Or neither.
Or both. I have no idea. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, this is, in past years and episodes, we've tried to kind of predict what's going to happen in Chainsaw Man, and we kind of stopped doing it the last couple times. I think it's impossible. Like it's impossible in One Piece. It's fun to do. It's fun to do for some of these other series of like what's coming next. Like Ranger's a big mystery thing. Like Go Loser Ranger. That's a fun one to try to guess what's coming next. It's not that fun to guess what's coming next in Chainsaw Man because it's just like you're never gonna guess it. And if you
you're never gonna.
There's just no way. Like. Chapter to chapter, I never could have guessed any of the stuff that happened in the past, 3 months, 4 months, whatever.
Yeah, so I don't think I would have guessed that they debate cutting off Denji's dick in this chapter. Like
no,
that was not on the radar. But like I wouldn't have even assumed that they would cut his dick off in the next chapter. If this wasn't Fujimoto, I would say there's no shot that happens. But
Yeah.
since it is Fujimoto,
I
could see it.
It's hard to describe anything other than like equal chance that it does happen and it's insane, or it doesn't happen. And, you know, either way that it, I don't know, like any other author, you're right. I would absolutely be like, well, that's not going to happen. A demon will interrupt him, or a devil will interrupt him, or something will happen, or Denji will, you know, realize that's not what it's about, or someone will teach him that's not what it's about. But in this one, it's like, well, literally a coin toss, like flip a coin, could happen, could not happen. Who knows? I don't. It's
will
hard to say.
will she get like a Denji dick sword?
That's okay. I saw
arsenal?
people talking about that, and
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a comment or two on Reddit. I think that I saw with like Denji dick sword incoming, and like that's a great idea. I don't like. I just want to say, first of all, that's a great idea
put that on the page.
for a couple of reasons. One, like there's Asa and Yoru's weapons get stronger when they have an emotional attachment to them, right? And if we assume that they have a crush on Denji, and having his sexual organ might produce an incredibly powerful weapon. So
I don't know.
In that sense, it makes sense to me. It makes sense to me in that sense. On the other hand, if you cut his penis off and pull his chainsaw chest thing, he'll just grow back, right? Like we even saw.
This is the second time. This would be the second time he got his dick cut off
in like the same day, technically.
In the same day, yeah.
Yeah, like the same like day or two. Yes.
He was just like cut up into a million pieces not too long ago.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I also, again, it's hard to like guess where this is going. It's interesting that in this chapter we see Denji sort of come up against his major shortcoming of like, I desire love and affirmation. I see that as a sexual thing. So I think that I desire, you know, sexual satisfaction, even though so he's like once removed. We have not really seen Asa come up against her similar or almost exact same shortcomings, right? She also, I think, desires the sort of acceptance and love. She has not been shown to manifest that as sexual desire, although I would not put it past Fujimoto to take it in the same direction, to mirror Denji and Asa, but
I think what we've seen so far is that it manifests itself as like a very incel-y type of resentment for the world, which is why people call her a femcel. But
yes.
she essentially, since she doesn't fit in to like normal worldly archetypes that are socially acceptable, she is instead resentful of everyone else around her. That's how it seems to have manifested so far. It's not as funny or as fun as, you know, like I am horny all the time, but but I want to see more of that explored. I think that's cool.
Yeah, well, it is interesting. Describing her as an incel, I think is, I hate to be like, that's the exact right word, but like it kind of is, in the way that those people generally, you're right, they sort of, they harbor resentment towards the outside world, but at the same time, like, you know, an incel might say, oh, I hate all women because they've all rejected me in the past. But if a woman went to an incel and was like, I accept you, I want to date you, they would say yes. Like, and that's also the exact same thing, right? Like she has a resentment toward the outside world, but she still is like, if someone came to her and said they liked her, or, you know, said they appreciated her or needed her, she would say yes and go along with them, right? Like she isn't so detached, again, because it all kind of comes back to that.
It kind of helps you stay sane, you know? It's like posturing for your own ego.
Exactly.
It's
It's a defense. It's a defense mechanism for sure.
Yeah,
against being wronged, or however you want to say it.
It's like, if the world doesn't accept me, I reject them first.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It is a severe, the most severe version of, you meet up with someone and you see they're going to break up with you and you say, no, I break up with you first. It's like, I see that the world rejects me a little bit, or it's hard to date. And you go, no, I rejected the world first. It was me. I chose this. So I didn't, you know, it doesn't take away your sanity or whatever you want to say.
And I think the fact is that we can see that stuff in these characters just shows that Fujimoto understands these feelings on a fundamental level.
Yeah, exactly.
She's written so well. I don't know.
They both are. I mean, it's and the mirroring, again, they both at a basic level like the same thing, right? They both just want to be loved, is kind of the most basic boiled down version of it. And it's interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see how Asa's comes about, or what happened. I don't know. Like literally the first panel of the next chapter could be Denji's penis getting cut off. Or it could be like, massive introspection character work, and neither of them would surprise me. Both of them would be fully Chainsaw Man, fully Fujimoto. I'm excited to keep reading. I think it's interesting. I think it's, some of the most interesting character work being done on from Shueisha right now. So
let me make one called shot before we end the dickening. They will go eat food next chapter, but it won't be sushi like Denji wants. It'll be like ramen or something. Resentful ramen in silence. That's my called shot. I could see it happening. It's like it'll be like that Avengers scene where they eat shawarma in silence.
Very similar. I guess I don't know, like I think Denji gets his penis cut off. Like I don't why because because I think
let's hedge our bets here. I don't think Denji will get his penis cut off.
All right. Oh, you know what? I bet accepted. It reminds me that I need to go back and check our episode where we went head-to-head drafting and see who won that. Last time I checked it, you were winning by 100% of the votes. But
hell yeah, brother! That's
it was the mark 1-0 in the voting. So
hell yeah, dude.
We'll
hey,
see.
go check it.
I can go check it now. Actually, real quick. I kind of want to. I want to see.
That market capital.
Yeah.
Money talks, baby.
But so Chainsaw Man, good stuff. Here we go. Go. Show results. Oh, it's 2-0 now for you.
Hell yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
One Piece, man, hard to fight against. One Piece, and I think Jujutsu Kaisen and all that.
I think it's JJK maybe.
True. Yep.
Alrighty.
All right, cool. That's Chainsaw Man. So now we're in flashback world. The next two things we're going to talk about, Dan to Dan 153 and Spy Family 98 are both, in my opinion, some of the best flashbacks I have ever read.
Full disclosure, I'm a bit behind on Dan to Dan, so I have no idea what's happening. So.
The context of this is essentially some stuff happened. This is oh god, what's the character's name? I don't know. This is the umbrella guy who's been in the sort of you read where they go into the book and do all that. And do the stuff. Okay, it's that guy. Some stuff happens. They end up fighting each other. And someone, I don't remember which of the main characters touch him, but somebody touches him and they get sort of a revelation flashback of this is his backstory. Is essentially what we're seeing here. So
it already seems like it's going to be like brutal, like Kyra's backstory.
Absolutely. So how many of these backstories have we gotten in Dan to Dan that have all been both good and very sad? It was like the Rocker Girls one that we got, I think was the last one. That one was sad and good. We got the Alien Girl, very good, very sad. Maybe the best one because that was like a whole arc, like an almost like 4 or 5 chapters. That was good. Yeah. The Dancer Girls was good and sad.
And we got Evil Eyes too, which was really
even
brutal.
Evil Eyes, was good and sad. This one, in my opinion, is both the saddest and the best. It's so
this
good.
One was?
I think so. I think this you'll see as we go through it. But so this is what happens. You learn here is that this is the umbrella guy and his little brother and his mom. This is a flashback, obviously. He was like overworked and committed suicide. It's implied here, and they're essentially blaming him. Like, wasn't he the one who said he wanted to work overtime? I mean, literally like calling out Japanese black company culture. That's what it is. And it's also like, okay, she doesn't have a way to make money. They're going to kick her out of the apartment. She's like, please, I swear I'll be able to pay next month. She's like, I have children. That has nothing to do to me. And they're like, you chose to have kids. Ha ha ha. And his little brother here is like, can you fly through the sky with an umbrella? And the umbrella guy's like, I don't know. He his younger brother like gets an umbrella. He gets bullied here. Zuma. That's right. That's the that is the name of the character. Although I think that's technically his little brother's name. Although stuff changes, so I don't know. Maybe he took his little brother's name, or I don't know. But he like has the umbrella. He gets beat up. And then
this is already making me sad.
It's already bad, and it's one of this like super happy. The older brother. The older brother is the one who we know as Zuma. So, and his little they beat him up. It's all this stuff. he's like, the little brother is like walking during a storm. The umbrella flies off. He tries to chase it, and it is very much implied that the younger brother drowns trying to get his umbrella. And they have him like washed up on the side. The older Zuma.
That is such a visceral panel on the bottom right.
Yes, and so the first, I think, starting either on this page or the page after it, there's no dialogue. So the first couple of pages have some dialogue in it, and then from here on, the whole story is told just through images, which is like visual story. I'm a fucking sucker for visual storytelling in manga, and this stuff is excellent. So yeah, this is the older brother Zuma running after little brother. They see him washed up. There's, all the emergency vehicles. You get shots here now of his mom takes him to a amusement park, you think probably to try to cheer him up. He's having fun. This image is really interesting because I noticed, and some other people noticed, that his mom here looks a lot like Momo, which kind of informs a lot of the stuff that's happened in the last few chapters. He's very kind of protective and interested in Momo in a way, not really in a romantic way. We're kind of implied to that with some of the stuff, but I think it's more just like
you think
Momo
initially
reminds
it's
him
like in a romantic way, but
exactly. I guess you think that initially, but this shows here. I think that it's more that Momo reminds Zuma of his mother. So she takes him out for this great day to try to get him to cheer up, and then these are the last 2 pages where she is at the train station with her son, like absolutely brutal. This top left panel, trying to jump in front of the train and take her son with her. And you see their hands kind of slip apart at the end. So yeah, this is
that's
absolutely brutal.
That is so fucked up.
It is,
my God.
But it's like
that face.
The face of the top left kills is so scary and visceral.
That is scarier than any of the ghosts or creatures they've showed so far. What the fuck?
And it's real. It's like a real person experiencing.
That's why it's scary.
Like, deeply, improper.
It's a mental
thoughts.
break completely.
Yeah. So that's why I think this one is really good. That's like incredible visual storytelling, absolutely visceral, like younger brother dying, mom trying to kill both of them, Zuma, escaping at the very end. And it doesn't just end with like a blank page of like anything. It's like, no, it ends with blood splatter. Like she gets hit by the train. That's the last thing we see. Like, so yeah, this is, what a flashback. Visceral is a good word for it. Very impactful, very important. It informs a lot of the stuff we've seen from Zuma in the last couple, and his whatever yokai demon is possessing him at the same time. It's brutal.
It's like, this might just be me overreading this, but it seems like in the right panel, he's initially trying to stop them both from jumping into the train. Mm-hmm. And then when he realizes he can't, he then frees himself in the other panels.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can read it that way. I don't see why you can't. Because he definitely, in the first one, he's trying to sort of hold his mom back. And then the next time you see him, he's like pulling one of her fingers off so that he can get his arm out. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
And this is like, again, this one and the original dancer girl, what's her name? Ira. Yeah, Ira. That one also was similarly kind of like sad, involved the parents.
That was such a brutal. I remember week to week when we were reading it, we were like, "What the fuck?"
You're like, I thought this was just a fun, wild, random thing.
How did you write this? It's so good, but fucked up.
This scares me. This scares me for one. Well, it scares me because it's like it's horrifying to read and very impactful and emotional. The reason it scares me more is that we don't know where Momo's parents are. We don't know where Okarune's parents or siblings, if they have any. We don't know any of that, and I'm worried there's going to be more trauma flashbacks for those 2 lead characters at some point in the future, and I don't want to see it. Like I do want to see it, but I don't want it.
No, dude, don't worry. Those are just classic manga tropes. They are archaeologists, and they're unearthing fossils, and they're sending them money to live. Don't you worry about that, Chris. We're all good in that front. Yeah.
So, anyways, not much more to say of this chapter other than the visual storytelling here is brutal. The story itself is incredibly sad, but that's like it's good, right? Like it's hard. So good. It's hard. Yeah, I don't know. So, some people. It's hard to communicate how you can be like, this made me feel negative emotions, and that's why it's a good piece of art. But that is what this is like this. I connected with the characters. I cared. I was sad when the brother died. I was terrified when the mom tried to kill both of them. It's like when art makes you feel emotions, that's good art. And this is such a good chapter, even though it's such a bad chapter.
That well. Yeah, it's essentially like, it's not a fun chapter to read.
No.
But it is like so effective in conveying personal feelings and character motivations. Yeah, it's insanely fucked up. I loved it.
It's good. Like what a chapter. You need to catch up because it's.
I do need to catch up.
I hope that this is encouraging you. Yeah, this is a good one to cover too, because this doesn't really spoil any of the stuff that's happened before. It's just kind of his backstory. But yeah, so.
It's when I went to Japan, they block Jump Plus, so I fell behind on a few things. Anyway, I actually don't know how to segue out of this, but segue. Let's go to the next one.
Let's keep your emotions down and go into another sad backstory. This one is differently sad, more kind of nuanced sad in the way that it isn't like your little brother died and your mom tried to kill both of you and then killed herself. This is more like war is hell, as we have seen. Anyways, this is Spy Family chapter 98. We are watching. God, I'm gonna have to remember their names. What is the name of the headmaster guy?
It's Henderson.
Henderson, and the woman's name is
Martha.
Martha. I think that's right. Yes, Henderson and Martha. The chapters before this was kind of the rest of the flashback. We saw them in school. We saw them kind of connect over tea time. We saw Henderson. I think he's like 4 years older, maybe 3 years older than her.
Yeah, 30.
He like graduates, goes and becomes a teacher, comes back to the school where she's a senior, in her last year or whatever. The war has started. The war is ongoing, it's wild to me to think about the world of Spy Family where we're introduced to like a war and espionage stuff. And apparently the war has been going on for like 60 years or something at this point, like 40, 50 years, a long time. Which could be, and there's a lot of parallels with World War II, I would say, in the modern day. So maybe this is more like a World War I type thing. Although those were only separated by, 30 or so years. But yeah.
This felt like a different manga to me, these past few chapters. It's so weird and funny going from Anya poo-poo pee-pee shenanigans to this nuanced take on war and a character deep dive on these two side characters. I think Henderson's always a fan favorite, but
he's a great character in the current, but it's even more interesting to see why he cares so much about elegance being, his care for Martha. And the reason he wants to uphold this education thing is he's like, war is still going on around us, and this is important. And if I don't protect it from the war, no one else will. But this is brutal in a kind of, in a similar but different way, obviously. One of the most brutal things is like Martha's planning to go and be a ballerina. We get news here in the middle of this chapter. It's like, she's reading the newspaper. It's like the Marlov Ballet was caught in an air raid while performing to support war-torn Amber. 17 members of the troupe were killed, including its principal ballerina, Joanna. And again, another excellently brutal face on the left side here of Martha. Like, what an incredibly powerful emotion drawn into this face, which I absolutely love. And again, it doesn't, the whole left side, there's a little bit of narration or voiceover from Henderson, but there's no, it's completely silent from the characters in the scene, which again, I love.
It's like everything was taken from her in a split second. And so her dialogue, I can no longer trust that anything would be there for me forever, it's like you can tell it made just like a mark on her character for the rest of it. I don't know, that was very well written. And
the text here that says I could no longer trust anything would be there for me forever. Again, you're wondering, because Martha has shown in the past that she's got skills, right? She has sort of secret agent level fighting skills, I guess you could say. And you're like, oh, that's weird. Where did they come from? She seems, oh, she's just going to go be a ballerina. But this sort of informs why she is going to go fight, right? Is essentially
right.
And it's, and Henderson is, this is where he finds out she's volunteered for the Women's Defense Auxiliary. He's like, what are you thinking? What's wrong with, and she's like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing gentlemanly about smacking a table. She's kind of, it's interesting to see like, oh yes, this is the modern day Henderson would never, like he would never smack a table. And it's interesting to see him kind of.
I think he still would. In this given situation, like,
I mean, yeah, maybe. I think it's, what's interesting here is that it's showing us like, he is getting a lot of his informed character stuff about being elegant or whatever from like literally directly from things that Martha is like telling him not to do or to do, right? Like that's elegant, this isn't. And we see that kind of in modern day character.
But you know, I think what we also see is that he understands that his philosophy of elegance is something he wants to use to inspire kids. But he also learns this chapter that it's not a rigid philosophy that everyone has to abide to, and that different outlooks and personality types are valid, and like kind of crushing them with your own is not the answer. Because he apologizes to Martha later.
Well, and that
chapter,
and honestly, that ties all the way back to like chapter, was it maybe 3 or 4, where they do the school interview, and you know things kind of get a little out of hand. I don't even remember exactly what happens, but I remember, you know, the school interview with Anya and Lloyd and Yor gets a little out of hand, but this kind of the way that they still show elegance through the kind of different way that is presented and the way that Henderson recognizes that is kind of shown here. You're right. It isn't, Henderson has never been the sort of like my way or the highway elegance guy. He's like, I accept that, you know, elegance, quote unquote, or whatever he finds good is like defined by the moment, which is really interesting and really cool. So
I think that's right. I think it's like elegance is just a catch-all word. I mean, of course he's elegant as a person, but I think it's a catch-all word that he uses to define admirability, you know, as well. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. This is all just very good stuff.
It's very good conversation here about Martha's like, if I don't start fighting back, I'll lose everything. She's like literally worried about losing like the guy she loves, and the guy she loves is like also worried about losing her, and both of them make choices that they don't get each other, and that's maybe is very sad. So she's like, I lost my dream. The ballerinas got bombed or whatever, and you could lose your. He says, if I don't fight to protect what little I have left, I'm going to lose it all again. And he's like, I don't call you asking you to protect me. You must withdraw from the auxiliary force. And she's like, you're the fool, Henry. It's like, you just don't get it. Yeah. And then the voiceover again is Headmaster Dude. He says, I was the most hard-headed of idealists back then. I still believed that the world would change as long as I heeded my principles. So I dug in to defend something that was worth nothing. Education is at its heart the act of influencing and inspiring others. But like a clown in a farce, I, the man who waxed poetic about the value of education, had failed to refute a single one of Martha's arguments. This is like...
That's so good.
This is like a next level writing. Like, and I'm a staunch defender of the Spy Family when it goes serious and it isn't doing Anya hijinks is like one of the most well-written things being published right now. I think this flashback, I think the school bus hijacking, I thought was another really good moment. The flashbacks of Lloyd, I think they were last year, maybe 2 years ago, were also incredibly powerful and good. When Spy Family gets serious, it like gets serious and is seriously high quality.
You know, I agree, but I also love the Anya stuff.
It's also like, good. I mean, the whole thing is written well. It's just like, it stands out a little bit more when it's like good war, like, I don't even know how to say it, like a good war story, as opposed to like, it's a good...
nuanced, instead of like jokiness, right? You're right, both are good. I feel, both are good, because you need to have the Anya stuff to pay for the Henderson stuff. But with that said, I truly love that. I'm forgetting the author's name, but I love that Spy Family.
Endo. Tatsuya
Endo. Endo. I love that he just is every genre and does everything, and he does it well. It's just crazy. You're right.
It really is wild to me that like someone can have such a breadth of writing experience to publish one of the cutest things some weeks and then one of the like most brutal like war stories the next week. It takes a lot of skill to be able to do both, for sure. We see them dancing here again, kind of an empty-faced Martha. The end of this chapter is also brutal, right? Because here we have Henry, the Headmaster Guy's like, forgive me, Martha, you're right. I've been most inelegant. I've failed to respect your feelings. I dismissed your ideals, even if as I've forced my own upon you. I know such behavior to be among the roots of war, and yet I find myself guilty of it. These are like, what a line. Like, I have dismissed your ideals, even as I forced my own upon you. I know such behavior to be among the roots of war, and yet I find myself guilty of it. Like,
it's great.
It's great. Like, how do you, like, I don't know. That's just like a great line.
I think her response is perfect too. You think too much.
Yeah.
That's great.
He's just like,
I don't know.
I don't know. He's very much just kind of acting like a child, a younger person, I guess.
Well, no, he is thinking too much. I mean, he's right.
Yeah, for sure.
He's right, but like they are also just dancing.
Yeah.
It's like I think it's just like perfect back and forth dialogue to convey what you want.
Yeah. And I'm not going to click to the next page yet because it's a surprise if you haven't read the chapter, but part of what makes the reveal of the sort of last page is that up until you turn that page, again, this could go either way, right? Like, Martha is sort of waxing about like, it's time I told you. She's been in love with him kind of the whole time they were in school together. And after, she's like, I've made up my mind. I will make my feelings clear to you before this dance ends. She's like, Henry, it's time that I told you. And then a fucking bomb drops on the school. And it's just like, it's like crazy, like interrupts the confession. It's like, listen, I don't like the firework interrupts the confession trope any more than the last guy, but this is the best version of it I've ever seen. So
it's still frustrating. But I don't think it takes away from the yeah, exactly. I think it works. It's supposed to frustrate you.
Yeah. I think we're shown earlier in the chapter that this clanging that we hear here is like, I think warnings of an air raid or warnings of a bombing or something going off. So they're like, it's being said that, hey, they're at the school dance or whatever, and they're about to get bombed. So, I'm really curious. The next chapter is coming out, I guess, this Sunday. It'll be out by the time you're watching this video, probably. But really curious to see where this goes because clearly they don't end up together and they go their separate ways. And Martha goes to the war, and Henry stays, as headmaster or whatever. So we do kind of know where it goes, but I don't know how this is resolved. Do they watch more people die? Do they get away with it? What happens? I don't know.
But I have no idea. Another
just excellent chapter. Just showing, two people struggling with stuff that war brings. Like someone wants to go defend the things they love because if they don't defend them, they feel like they'll lose them. And the other person is like, but if you die defending them and I let you go, that's bad. It's like, and that's a story told across, so many war stories, war movies, whatever you've seen. So
and it's like it's kind of perfect because neither is wrong or right.
Yeah, exactly.
It just is.
It is the thing that is wrong about it is being put in that position by war, which is why this is so like, I appreciate Spy Family being so sort of like anti-war the whole way through, even though you would think like, oh, it's just cute. And the war is just kind of a regular thing. But we've seen time and time again with the kind of terrorists that show up and the sort of ne'er-do-wells who are planting bombs or capturing people or planning against Lloyd or whoever, is that they aren't, I don't want to say that they're justified in what they're doing, but they aren't totally unjustified, right? These are people that have like lost their families or, lost their entire livelihoods to the war and they're striking back against that so they don't lose more is kind of a consistent theme.
I do appreciate the motivations. They're all sympathetic motivations behind exactly. all of their terrorist plots, right?
Yeah, it isn't. These aren't just it's a random bad guy. It's like, well, this guy who hijacked the bus for Anya a couple of things ago, lost his daughter to the war,
right? And
it's like, okay, I understand. Like maybe it's not the right decision to go and do more war crimes, obviously, but I understand. So
yeah. I think it's just like it's good writing, but it's like a lot of anime and manga tend to write their villains as just pure evil when that's never the case in real life. So it really works for a setting like Spy X Family, like a warring setting that's set in a kind of close to our reality. That every single villain has an ultimately sympathetic goal or justified reasoning in their own head,
Yeah.
you can understand it.
Yeah. And I think that I think it's consistent. Thinking back, there might have been one at the start, but I think most of the sort of big bad guys you've encountered that have been doing, bad things, terrorist actions, whatever you want to say, in Spy Family have been sort of like they, have a sympathetic reason involving the war, involving the country they're attacking, having attacked them first, or, in some chain of events, right? Which is this is the ultimate anti-war thing, is that if you just go to war, it just creates more people who want to go back to war with you. And then it's this, never-ending cycle of war. So,
yeah, but most villains in Spy Family are like victims of war or the outcome of war.
Yep.
Or they just want to fund their underground tennis league. I don't know. One of those three.
Yeah. So again, another excellent flashback here, Spy Family. Anything else on the manga this week?
No.
Cool. Let's go over some news. We've got some anime announcements. Obviously, we had an official announcement for The Summer Hikaru Died anime announced. We haven't talked about that one in a while, but we talked about it some last year. That's a good little kind of like horror, suspense, romance.
Yeah.
Kind of a lot of stuff.
It was like a eldritch romance.
Yeah, Eldritch BL romance, but very well regarded. I think 2 years ago it won one of the best new manga awards.
Is it even BL? It's like an alien.
It's like not directly. It's kind of that implied.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. It is not sort of labeled as like a gay romance, but it kind of is underneath it all, I would say.
No, I mean, like, I guess if I fuck Cthulhu, I don't think people would say
that's a good point.
Gay.
Right. All right, good point.
I think they'd say that. I don't know what sexual. They would say, actually. Yeah. I don't think you can define that.
Yeah. No, you got a point there. But we got that anime coming. I think that's that will be an interesting one to see. I think that'll be decently popular just based on how popular the manga is. So, yeah. Looking forward to that. We also got an announcement for the Darwin Incident is getting an anime. That was the very first episode of this podcast we recorded back almost, not quite 2 years ago, but almost 2 years ago. We talked about that one. I don't even think that's public, but
yeah, good manga.
It might be the first public one we did. Yeah, but really good manga.
That was a really interesting one.
I wonder, this is one that I wonder how people are going to react to when, episode 1 or 2 is like, oh, it's a monkey who's smarter and stronger than humans, whose parents are militant vegans.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Vegan terrorists.
Yeah, vegan terrorists. Yeah, essentially.
Like, he was born because, like, a man, like, sexually assaulted a female monkey.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. But that did happen.
It's like, by all means, it's, like, confusing that it works as well as it does. But it's,
it's
really
it's
quite
weird
good.
that it's like, all that stuff sounds weird, but it's like, it's written really well, and it's really interesting, and it's pretty different from other stuff that's out.
Hey, don't take our word for it. It won awards, okay?
It did, yeah. Yeah,
I feel defensive. I feel like I'm on the defense, even, like, saying it's good because of what I said before it. I'll get less defensive about the Darwin Incident. I'm sorry.
It's it is a really good series. I should go and catch up with it at some point. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah, in other sort of minor anime manga related news, Toho, which is a huge Tokyo based animation studio. I guess they're a production studio. They do movies, they do live action stuff. They own Godzilla, right? That's that Toho. Has bought Science Saru. So Science Saru did Keep Your Hands Off Aizokin, the recent
hell yeah.
The recent
I love Aizokin.
Who's that? I'm losing it. The video game guy who's a bad boyfriend. I've just totally lost it. I don't know. They did Scott Pilgrim. They did Scott Pilgrim Takes Off.
Oh, video game.
I was like, why can't I remember his call? I just couldn't. I was like, it's a guy's name, and I can't remember. Yeah, they did Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. Keep Your Hands Off Aizokin. They did some of Devilman Crybaby, which was that Ping Pong the animation. So that.
Sick.
Yeah, they are also, and here's the concerning thing of why I bring this up, is that they were announced to be in charge of doing Dan to Dan anime 2 or 3 months ago. So the news that I saw about this is interesting. You would think maybe, they're a smaller studio, they wanted some financial security, but someone I saw a translation of some tweet from someone at Science Hire that said like, no, they're doing really good for money. Like Scott Pilgrim made him a ton of money. They're doing good. You know, all the other stuff they've made has been popular. So not sure why this happened. I don't know if how this will affect Dan to Dan, if it will at all. Hopefully not. I hope Science Hire still survives. The stuff they do, I think is really interesting.
Dan to Dan looks like it's mostly done anyway.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I think it looks
completed, as in the anime is completed.
Yeah, or they're at least pretty far ahead on work. So yeah, we'll have to see about that. I didn't write this one fully out, but there was a that's anime news. That's why I deleted it. So I'm not going to read about that. There was a little bit. I don't want to talk too long about it, but there was a little thing about a previous animator at Studio Shaft talking about
I was
worthless.
Going to bring that up just now. Yeah.
Yeah. So that his name was, I just deleted it because his name was Hiroto Nagata. There's like a major Studio Shaft animator who essentially said like, company made me feel worthless, blah, 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 and all this stuff. So there's
they said that if he doesn't keep animating, that he'll face consequences, whatever that means.
Very like incredibly black company coded in the worst possible way. I'd heard about Shaft issues previously. They seem like they're not one of the better animation studios, although I saw a thread on Twitter that was like, can someone just tell me all the animation studios that aren't like awful? And there was only like 8 of them. They were like, it's KyoAni and a couple others, and everybody else sucks. And it's like, oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's the state of the animation industry in Japan. It's just terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible for the worker, that is.
Yeah, and I really hope they can get some kind of, I don't know, legislation or some kind of turnaround thing. It feels like it needs some kind of disruptor. Like, I'll be honest, if some Western animation, team studio funding thing, if someone from the States, or Europe or somewhere was like, we want to hire Japanese animators to animate our thing, and they paid them better and they let them have better working conditions, suddenly, that company could now animate everything they wanted to animate because all these people would be clamoring at the door to work for them. And that something like that, right? That's sort of the way capitalism is supposed to work, right? Like you offer a better service to drive up the way that other people treat their people. But yeah,
I think like companies will always like look to pay as little as possible at the human being's expense, and unless there's like some kind of union, I don't know how any of that stuff works in Japan.
And even though we talk about this, it's like, how do they fix this in animation? The truth of the matter is that companies in Japan, all these black companies, are like and it's not just animation. This is just a Japanese, culture, work issue, whatever you want to label it as. It's a greater problem than just an animation and manga. So
yeah, because this is like such a huge export. It's like an insanely huge export for Japan.
Yeah, I mean, easily, it's their largest cultural export, I would say. Anime is, I think, by far probably their largest cultural export, not in food, but yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it's just such a shame that the working conditions. Actually, I don't even think shame is the right word. It's kind of disgusting that their working conditions are so horrible.
Yeah, I feel bad. I feel very bad about them.
We've been parroting this for a while because it's
true. Yeah, no, this is definitely not the first time we brought up working conditions of manga authors, anime artists, animators, all that stuff. So
yeah, not much more to say there.
Yep. 2 new announcements. Stupid bug. To do the Ichinoshi Family's Deadly Sins creator, Taizan 5 is creating a new sports manga titled Hanareta Futari for some Yaosobi's NHK sports theme.
Sports?
Some kind of sports thing, and apparently the work will be turned into a novel and serve as the basis for a Yaosobi song. So it's a weird, I don't know what this is going to be. I
don't understand. Okay.
What I got from it is there's going to be a sports manga from Taizan 5 that is going to also be a Yaosobi song and a novel, probably a light novel. I don't know.
Okay, I guess I don't have any thoughts on that because
I don't know. It's a weird one. Yeah,
that's a weird one. Yeah. How do you feel about Taizan 5 at the moment?
They had one thing I loved and one thing I thought was pretty miserable. So I hope that they can come back and give us quality like Takopi's again, because whatever the family thing they did, we talked about it when it was out.
Family.
Yeah, you can go back and listen to our podcast about it. We were not very high on it after the first chapter or so. But the other new thing that's coming out is there's a new series from the author Ogureto, starting serialization in Weekly Shonen magazine. That series is called Kaijin Fugeki. I don't know what it's about. There was a preview trailer released, but it was in Japanese, and I didn't see it translated, so I don't speak Japanese, obviously. So, but I'm interested in that. I think Oh Great is one of the best working artists today. You've read Air Gear, right, or seen some of it?
Yeah, I've read all of Air Gear.
Okay, and you said that it's fun and exciting, and I've read a lot of the.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've read a lot of the adaptation he did of Bakemonogatari, which I think is special and different in its own way and has some absolutely killer art in it. I think Oh Great is up there as far as just art on the page with like.
Air Gear is beautiful. Yeah.
And Bakemonogatari is even better. Like I've seen some stuff from Air Gear and it's like, oh, he's gotten a lot better. So
for sure.
I'm very interested to see what this is, if it's good, if it's quality. I think this is maybe the first original work they've done in a couple of years as far as serialized, but
that's exciting.
Yeah, interested to keep track of that because I think Oh Great's a great artist.
Dude, you should check out Air Gear.
It's on my list.
It's like it's a weird recommendation because I really don't think it's that good. But if you turn off your brain and don't take it too seriously, it is a solid read. I think you'll have fun.
Yeah, it's on my list. I think I'm going to check it out someday. Cool. I think that's it for manga news and manga reviews. So let's talk about what else we are doing. I read this week, and I think you also read this, a new series, which was fan translated. This series was called Golden Man. Let me go find the author real quick. This is by two people, Peitos and Megumi Koji are the two authors there. This was an interesting thing about I won't ruin what happens in chapter 1 because I think people should go read it, but it's essentially about a hero, kind of a standard Power Rangers kind of,
It's actually more like Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man, or what's the Japanese, the Tokusatsu Rider. Kamen Rider, yeah. More, I think, based kind of around Kamen Rider.
Actually, I disagree. I think it's more based on Spider-Man. It's like very comic book, like comic-y.
Yeah.
It's like the villain was like Doc Ock. And
that's true, yeah.
Neo York.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think it's like very Western inspired.
It does feel very Western inspired. Yeah, very superhero inspired. Essentially, superhero loses his memory, gets amnesia. The team has to kind of bring him back, tell him how things going. Again, it has a really interesting ending. I don't think I want to spoil that, but we might talk about this in the coming weeks. Go read it. It's on fan translation sites if you want to go find it there. That is Golden Man. I think it's.
I thought it had a really strong first chapter.
Yeah, a strong first chapter, not perfect, but one of those things that, and I said this when I talked to you earlier, Gautam, but I really hate to say it, but it's one of those things that has a lot of potential in that. Because the first chapter was so interesting and ended in an interesting way, the places they could go for it, I'm excited to see where it goes. So a lot of potential in this one.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we'll see. I think without saying anything, it really depends on the direction they take the story.
Yeah, which again, I'm interested enough to keep following it because the chapter 1, I may ask interesting questions and led us there. So, Gautam, tell me what you've been up to.
I've been playing Tunic a little bit. It is pretty good so far.
Yeah.
I see the appeal, but and it's very cute and it has an adorable instruction booklet. But did I bring this last week? I don't know.
No. I don't remember what you brought last week.
Well, either way, I'm not giving it the shake I want to give it because I'm too obsessed with Disco Elysium. It's like it feels like nothing's hitting. You know when you like watch or read or play something that is just so above everything else that everything feels like kind of bad for a while. Yep. Like everything in comparison to it, like it's like and this is not Tunic's fault. It's just I'm thinking about Disco Elysium. It's like top of mind and the feelings that I felt.
Yeah, they're very different games. I played all of Tunic and I looked up a little bit of stuff for the ending, but it's a good game.
I think I'll come back to it when I'm in it, like when I'm like post Disco Elysium high.
It is a good game, and I think I told you this, but you sort of will reach a moment. There's an aha moment where you realize what kind of game Tunic is, and it takes a little bit of time to get there. It's kind of one of these
exploration game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like you'll learn something and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that like those things were there the whole time and I could have done this to them and it does this other thing and I just missed it and it, nothing, I didn't actually get a new power. I just gained new knowledge and that unlocked the world for me.
That's so cool.
And that's the kind of game that Tunic is.
Design.
Yeah, that's the kind of game Tunic is, where it's like you'll learn things and you'll learn to do things and you'll be like, I could have been doing that the whole time and I just didn't know and now I know. And that's the kind of game it is. So when you get one or two of those,
very cute and charming, and I can like, it's one of those things where I can see the appeal that everyone feels when they play it.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm stuck in a different zone, like in my head, that I can't enjoy it to its full capacity. So I think it's like, yeah.
You watch a really good movie and you're like, I'm going to watch another movie, and you turn on, you're like, I can't watch this. The other movie is too good. But
yeah, I'm still thinking about the other movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, exactly. Cool. I think that's it for this week. Hey, thank you again, everyone, for listening or watching. Don't forget to leave us feedback, leave us some comments. How do you think Cockgate will resolve? I want to know what you guys think. Give us an upvote, comment, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all those things. And I think that's it. Hey, check out Twitter and Patreon, linked in the description. If you want to go vote, if you want to go check out the episode where Gautam and I draft manga and vote on that, and maybe give me a point or two to go up against Gautam's 2-0 there, go do that.
Not needed. Yeah, you can just
I'll plug it.
Life, baby.
I'll give it a month. Maybe in 2 weeks we'll take it down, see where it is. But cool.
Okay.
I think that's it. Hey, thanks again for being with us this week, everyone.
Yeah, I'll catch you later.
Hey, and don't forget to read more manga.